What up, guys? DLE Kamel here, and this is actually probably one of the most interesting reads that I've actually had to do since Master Duel came out. So these are cliff notes from a 4Gamer interview with Master Duel senior producer Katoka Kenichi. So there's a couple details about this interview before we go into breaking down each of these things. I actually checked the actual interview. These are cliff notes, the interview was actually posted on the 4Gamer website, and the interview was actually conducted on January 11th. So let me bring that up for you guys right now. You can see here, if I scroll up really quick, it does say yes, the answers to these questions are as of January 11th. So this interview was conducted 1 week before Master Duel came out, but the interview itself was not released until February 3rd, so a couple days ago. So this interview actually breaks down and gives us some insight into a lot of the developmental choices and how things were going for Master Duel during its release and some of the things that they were thinking about. And there are some very interesting things. So the first thing that they said is, if you dream of best of 3, let that dream die for now. So funny that they actually decided to start with this. I guess that's because that's what a lot of people are worried about. And I have to say that Master Duel is, it is a conventional card game that must have a conventional best of 1 ladder experience like any other game. Now, something that I do want to skip around just because it's just the first thing, it also ties very dearly into something down here. It says Master Duel will be sticking to best of 1. There's nothing indicating best of 3 at this time. Now, I actually don't think that this will be pertaining to Master Duel competitively on the world stage, like how they said that they plan on having Master Duel as an event at the World Championships every single year. I actually think that this will actually be just for the in-game experience of Master Duel, just like how in Duel Links, in all of Duel Links, in-game is a best of 1 in the ladder in KC Cup, but then when you get to the world stage, you do end up playing best of 3s against your opponents in some of the final stages. So I do believe that, them saying there's no best of 3 is for the general gameplay of Master Duel, and maybe when they see the competitive side evolve, then they will see the need for best of 3 in the highest level of tournaments. But yeah, for conventional play, I don't think anyone should have ever expected best of 3, because that is just not sustainable for a digital card game, I don't think. All right, so the next thing is Master Duel officially went into production during spring 2019. So Master Duel was in production for roughly 2.5 years. Now, this is very telling of the state that Master Duel has actually launched in. And going back over to this article, okay, so right here, center screen, I would like to bring your attention to this first part where they directly address this in the main interview. Now, these cliff notes are very nice, but what I've found truly intriguing was the content in this main interview, right? So I do believe this is the next point here. It says considerations for producing Master Duel was initially started as soon as Duel Links released, and his full answer: the project started in the spring of 2019. It's about 2.5 years. Prior to that, the study of the project immediately after the launch of Duel Links. And it says their direct reason was Duel Links was created as a game that can be easily played on mobile terminals with the aim of increasing the Yu-Gi-Oh fans card game population. From there on, there was the idea we need a game that could be stepped up further, and that's why they created Master Duel. So this is something easily expected, but for me, as a Duel Links guy, I got to be salty, because this does mean, from the jump, they were focused on creating Master Duel as the next step of Yu-Gi-Oh, and Duel Links was always kind of just that middle ground that served as a means to an end for them, right? Get people playing, get that money, get the market research, find out what people want, so they can then, use that on Master Duel. And that really shows in Duel Links development, because, they did not have too much going over there, and it's 5 years of development. So yeah. Next thing we have here, Duel Links was designed, and take it to the next level. and it was conceived as being a game that would be enjoyable for both competitors and spectators. So yeah, this is something that they discussed very heavily in basically all of the promotional material. Anytime that they were showing it, whether at Digital Next or they got, TGS Anime to do the videos about it, this was always one of the main focal points, and I do think that they delivered on that quite well. Playing the game does feel very smooth, smoother than just about any Yu-Gi-Oh game I've ever played, and commentating over it, which is huge for us here at DLE, is very, very smooth, even for people who don't know all the cards. The chains and effects are relayed very effectively on screen, given Yu-Gi-Oh has so much text. So I think that it is very intuitive design for people who plan on streaming it and people who plan on playing it. All right, so one of the hardest things for developing the game was ensuring crossplay and how the game would work on consoles and smart devices. So boom, this is actually something else that gave a little more insight to in the article. Boom, so they actually address something very interesting here in that cliff note. It says, where did you have a hard time developing? Is it still compatible with multi-forum play? Since I have experience with Duel Links, I don't have much trouble in the part of fighting between different platforms, but regarding the correspondence of different rules for each platform and the mechanism for sharing accounts between platforms, it was difficult because there were many things to consider. And totally, dude, I think that this definitely shows no Yu-Gi-Oh game before Duel Links has had cross-play compatibility, and then that was only between mobile devices and Steam. Now with Master Duel, this game being on consoles, PS4, Xbox, Switch, you can see just how much the account creation and account sharing mechanisms differ from platform to platform, right? Consoles and PC are linked to you having to make new accounts on your platform of choice or your computer. Make a new Steam account, make a new Xbox profile, make a new PS4 profile in order to make new Master Duel accounts. Where on phones, I have heard that it is not locked. You can just data transfer your main accounts to your phone whenever, as long as they are linked to Konami IDs. So it definitely seems that they had a lot of working around to do to make sure that they would be able to appease all of the companies that this game is going to be on, so that the account sharing doesn't break any rules. But you can still make new accounts, which is something I love about this game. All right, next we have here Solo Mode was a later addition, as the game was originally intended solely for hardcore duelists, but they found PvP alone made the game a bit too hardcore. And man, the insight that they give us here in this article is actually fascinating as to what made them reach that decision. So let me know if you think that the result is better than expected and that this worked. There are many, but especially in solo mode. So they're saying that that the result for solo mode, the reception of solo mode, is much better than they had initially thought. So actually at the planning stage, I wasn't thinking about implementing solo mode. We were developing it as a game for core duelists specializing in battles, but the team staff suggested that I want a mode where I can play alone because it's a little too apt, or it's a little too advanced, whatever. It's true that there is one. It's interesting, he said. The mode was made possible only by the enthusiasm of the staff and the full cooperation of the Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG production team, so I am deeply moved. Wow. So can you believe it? Solo mode would not be in the game if not for the surrounding staff members absolutely going out on a limb and saying that they absolutely wanted this to be in the game. And I must say that, despite what you think about the scope of solo mode, I'm someone who's not on the so much enthusiastic side of it. It does add a lot to the Master Duel formula. There are a great amount of rewards allocated to solo mode, which begs the question, where would those resources be if they weren't in solo mode? I think it gives a much needed refresher to the game for new players, and it gives you probably the only sense of progression outside of ranked play in Master Duel in its current state. So I'm very glad that this is something that the internal teams saw that the game needed, and they really lobbied for it, and it is here. So I'm very interested to see, as just off the top of my head, I think that is an example of a very good game development decision that was made. So I would like to see, the staff, look at some of the other things in the game and, make sure, those things get up the chain as well, because solo mode was very well received as soon as it was revealed in the first promotional, video. So I hope that, they start to make more changes like this down the road, since it had such a crucial benefit to Master Duel's development. All right, so next here we have, since Master Duel is intentionally international, this game will have its own forbidden and limited list separate from the official card game and the trading card game. And boom, dude, I think this is something that a lot of people were thinking about heavily when they saw that the Master Duel ban list was very unique from TCG and OCG. And yes, this is what I figured. This Master Duel ban list is not a social experiment. It's not temporary until they switch. This is intended. This is played as intended. This is working as intended because they want Master Duel to be its own unique, its own unique experience alongside Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links and Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG OCG. Therefore, it's going to be separate. It's not going to have the same ban list, and the game does play differently than those games. You play best of one. You have a somewhat limited card pool because the very newest things are not here yet, and other things are better because there is its own ban list. So I like that very much. I wasn't totally down with the idea of just copying TCG and OCG. However, this does bring about, something that's going to be an issue for a lot of people. A lot of people, I know that they were planning on using Master Duel as a test or a simulator for the trading card game, and now that's not really going to be possible because new cards are not going to be coming out as released, and this game will have a different ban list. So playing in this game to practice for the TCG is not going to be a very, ideal thing. You're still going to want to use a simulator because what you want to do in terms of practice is simulate duels. You don't want to play a different game, which is Master Duel, which is a different game from the TCG. Boom. And yeah, not too much else is said here. 4Gamer just asked, will there be a regulation be unified with OCG? Since the game in which duels from all over the world will play against each other, it will be original limit. So that means it's going to be its own, forbidden limited list. And then because this interview was conducted before the game came out, he just says, play the game and check it out. And is it okay to recognize that the battle rules will be implemented are OCG compliant? OCG has battle rules other than single battles, but is that also in Master Duel? The battle rules that are all based on the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG TCG Master rules and are based on single battles. I haven't really talked about other rules yet at this time. First of all, I hope you enjoy the match in a single match. Boom. This is that stark confirmation that we are best of one, Master Duel is best of one, no best of three. And I think this is very telling. This is definitely one of those corporate speak things where they're like, we got best of one right now, and so we hope you enjoy best of one. And, I think that was definitely the right thing to say because they're not giving us a definite answer on what we're going to see in the future. It could be like Duel Links. Duel Links has only ever experienced best of one duels until they had Worlds and it became a best of three after a couple years. So something of that nature could come to Master Duel, but it is safe to say that the core Master Duel gameplay that you will open up and boot up on your device or whatever as a regular person is always going to be best of one unless they do something like a best of three event somewhere far down the line. All right, something else that relates to what I was talking about on stream last night. This game will be designed to have tournaments that will make you want to use as much of the card pool as possible and not strictly stick to one metagame. So I'm actually going to do another video on some of the tournament pack banners that were leaked that are advertising like these are Synchro only packs, these are Xyz only packs, these are Fusion only packs for the Fusion Xyz Synchro tournaments. And this is pretty crazy. So the fact that this actually made it into a cliff note in the interview gives weight to my idea that events are going to be a major part of Master Duel, just like events in their own way are a massive part of Duel Links, right? Events are huge for your gem economy. That's your main way of getting PvE gems outside of leveling up your characters. So what is that going to mean for Master Duel? I wonder. All right, boom, found it. You mentioned that the trailer has a tournament with unusual regulations. Can you tell us what you are planning to do as much as possible? I haven't been able to tell you in detail yet, but I would like to hold a lot of such tournaments that make you want to use, I'm guessing going to say all 10,000 kinds of cards from corner to corner so that many fans can enjoy thinking about it. And woo, I don't know about that, guys, because right now that is going to conflict with the current meta in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, where I feel it is best for you to make an account, use all of your gem/resources to build like 2 or 3 very good decks that you like, and then make another account for different decks. This here is saying that part of the main gameplay loop and progression in Master Duel is you're going to want to build these decks so you can compete in these archetype specific tournaments, as well as building meta decks. And they want to discourage you from just building, meta decks that you are just going to use to, climb the ladder and be competitive. So there are a couple things that I think about this, right? Part of this is to make sure that people who do not want to just play super sweaty, tier 0 link summon monster decks, that they have a place they can, when these events come around, they'll be able to just straight up invest in fusions or synchros or whatever they want. And then they'll be able to play and succeed in these tournaments because these are tailored for their play style, over someone who might not want to play in these tournaments because, they are committed to playing the meta. Now, there's one problem with that, and that's what are the rewards going to be for these tournaments? Is it even going to be worth it for me to build a fusion-only deck, synchro-only deck, Xyz-only deck that doesn't have any link monsters or anything or any other monsters? Are those rewards from those tournaments going to be worth it? Previously, and I'm going to touch on this in that other video where I go over the leaks, there were leaks that showed the packs themselves for these events, and a common thought was that people would, that they were going to be earning those packs from playing the tournaments. It does not seem like that is the case. So all very interesting. And there's a lot of other interesting stuff in this article. And we're going to touch on a couple things after we finish these cliff notes. So let's see. Master Duel is intended to be an event at the World Championships. No news there. They said that from the beginning. But the final thing that I have from this article that, it left a sour taste in my mouth. And it says, yes, this game is intended as an esport. Now, esports in Yu-Gi-Oh, I do not think that, Yu-Gi-Oh has a great framework for being an esport just based on, how Konami has demonstrated their ability to provide digital gaming entertainment on streaming services as of late. If you have ever watched a Duel Links event, it is an absolute shit show. Konami cannot get it together. And by all means, ask anyone who's ever watched a Konami stream, you can tell them they never have. So the fact that they're saying this game is intended as an esport, it holds them to a certain degree of production value, production quality, attention to the competitive space. They cannot just ignore competitive play as a whole like they did in Duel Links, but of course they don't plan on doing that because they say it's going to be in the World Championship. But a lot of Konami's common practices with competitive and, people in the gaming space, because if you are going to have an esport, you're going to have to communicate and interact with, you know, creators, professional players. And the way Konami does that right now, you know, frankly, it's not enough. They have to do things better than they do them in the TCG, where they can just, you know, reach out to individuals and, you know, get them to do stuff that way. You know, everyone's going to come to the events. Everyone's going to show up. In Master Duel, there are active competition. There's active competition in the esports space from creators like us, like Decade, like other content creators who are popular and like Master Duel, like Yu-Gi-Oh. You know, why would you, you know, they're going to need to bring their A game if they really want to like make Master Duel an esport. They're going to have to give people a reason to be playing Master Duel all day, every day, so they can actually see value in their esport compared to the other tournaments and competitive spaces in Master Duel. All right, guys, so those are all of the cliff notes. I'm going to leave this article and the full interview in the comments, in the pinned comment for you guys. I thought this was fascinating, and I guess I'm going to give you just a little breakdown on how this has changed the way I see Master Duel. I think that Konami has approached Master Duel very, very safely, and the results so far have been very good. However, I think that they definitely do intend on bringing the game to a higher point. It's just that on release, they are not close to this happening. Things have leaked, the new cards, the new events, and we still don't have very many details on them. So it's definitely going to take us time to see if the direction that they have planned for Master Duel is really going to be one that is, you know, sustainable as an esport, sustainable as a competitive game, and whether Konami's model for progression and rewards in Master Duel is actually going to be, you know, survive the test of time, and it's not just going to be optimal to make new accounts every time you run out of gems. Let me know what you guys think about this article. Definitely a lot to discuss here. I'm interested at reading your guys' thoughts in the comments. Peace out, guys. See you later.